Hi guys, welcome back to larissawatt.com, all about health. We're here today with Kush Vatchha, a naturopath of 20 years. She's graduated from the Australian College of Natural Medicine with a Bachelor of Health Sciences in Naturopathy. She's also a nutritionist and holistic counsellor and a member of the National Herbalist Association of Australia. She's registered with the most recognised Australian health insurance funds as well, so if anybody comes along to see her, you can always get your rebates. So, Kush,
hello.
Welcome.
Okay, so naturopathy goes back to the time 460 BC. Have you heard of the Greek physician called Hippocrates?
Yes. So
basically, he's the father of modern medicine, and he was the one that brought naturopathy out to the public. And what his philosophy was that food be your medicine and that medicine be your food, and that's what he brought about. But he also taught the principles of naturopathy, which are what I practice. The first principle in naturopathy is do no harm, which means that when we treat a person, we want to use things that are as close to nature as possible, which means herbs, supplements, and food as medicine. The second one is treat the cause, very important. Why treat the cause? Because if you treat a symptom, it's likely to come back. Whereas if you go back and treat the cause, you're likely to bring harmony to the whole system.
So you mean what's causing the symptoms?
That's what's causing the symptoms for the condition. And third, but the most important, is we use the term the vital force. So I don't know, have you heard of the vital force?
I have in my studies, but maybe if you'd like to.
Alright, so what the vital force is that in natural medicine we know that there is a force or an energy that brings harmony and balance to every living system. We can't see it, but we know that it does. So in Chinese medicine it's called the qi. In Ayurvedic medicine it's known as the prana, and in Japanese it's known as the ki. So the vital force's sole purpose is to bring harmony and balance to any system, i.e. our body is a system, when it is out of balance.
So do you mean like that's the thing that tells our bodies what to do? Like our bodies are a whole lot of cells working together.
That's right.
But what tells all of those cells what their job is?
That's right.
So that's what.
So the vital force plays a big part, and what it basically does is its sole purpose is that when things are out of balance, i.e. there is a condition in your body that is not quite right. Just like the body knows how to bring you back to homeostasis, which is bring you back to balance, that's what the vital force's job is to do.
Oh, brilliant. So that's what you do every day?
So that's what I do every day. I see people with, just like you would go and see a doctor, people come and see me as a natural practitioner. The only difference being that a doctor will treat you with drugs and chemicals perhaps. I will give you the alternative, which is herbs, perhaps some vitamins, minerals, and I do the same testing that a doctor would do. So I would send you off for a blood test. If there are other tests I need to do, I would send you to a lab and we would have you tested. So it's not a shot in the dark. We actually work with blood tests, urine tests, you know.
So you're kind of like a doctor of herbs?
That's right. So the initials ND after naturopath's name means naturopathic doctor. Okay,
brilliant. Cool. So on your website, Kush, you talk about bringing people back to whole health. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yes. So what I mean by that is the World Health Organization has a definition for health, and the definition is that there has to be harmony with the physical, emotional and spiritual. Okay, that's what, and not just the absence of disease. So to be healthy doesn't mean that you don't have an ailment and so you're happy, you know, you're healthy. All it means is that all three aspects have to be in sync. So physical, any physical ailment, emotional, you know, some people are depressed, some people are sad. Well, that's still something you need to bring or harmonize in the body. And spiritual, of course, your connection to nature, your connection to the universe. It all plays a big part in bringing about a healing. So holistic means mind, body and spirit.
Yeah. So that's like going along with the things of that a person to flourish needs love, food,
That's
shelter,
right.
all of the primal...
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. So it's not just the physical that keeps us healthy. If we have a faulty thought that's running around in your subconscious mind, then that can affect you. And it's actually shown in research now that people who are depressed, when they check their blood and they check the blood cells, that the platelets are a lot more stickier. And so they're showing that the physiology that's going on in the brain can actually affect, the emotions can affect the physiological changes that you can see in the body.
Right, so that's a lot about what Dr. Vesna Grubacevic, the last interview that we did, she was discussing about the neurotransmitter and how every thought that comes from the brain, it then affects every single cell in the body.
I believe that very much so. I believe that if you have healthy thoughts and you try and bring yourself back to thinking positively, for instance, as opposed to when you're low and you're feeling not very motivated or negative, that would impact on that stress of the negativity will impact on your physical body. And you might not see it, but it can start to affect you.
But you do see it when people are walking down the street every day. You can tell when they're having a bad day because they're
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant. So why did you become a naturopath? What brought about that passion?
Well, my journey started, like I explained to you, 20 years ago when my firstborn, my son, was born, and at 3 months he had terrible eczema on his arms, and I thought I'd get some natural... for some reason I was always attracted to doing things naturally and not with drugs. So he saw a natural practitioner, and that sort of brought about a little bit of his healing until he was 2 when he had asthma. Now with asthma, the only thing that was available at the time was corticosteroids, and I didn't really want to keep giving my son at 2, prednisolone. So I decided to look for an alternative, and I found natural medicine, and he had terrible allergies and intolerances, so I quickly learned about food and how it impacts on us, because I didn't know that all those years ago, but I do now. And we changed his diet, we helped him with herbs and supplements, and by the age of 7 he was totally recovered.
Right.
And that's when I decided that I was going to go and actually study it and help others.
So you mentioned it took you 5 years from 2 years old to the age of 7. So with the natural remedies, we're talking about a life change, aren't we?
Yes, it was. And one of the things I forgot to say was that by treating a cause of a condition rather than just a symptom, it takes longer. Because perhaps sometimes we could go back to conception with a person. Even trauma at birth could affect you later on in your life. So we want to go and find the cause of whatever it is and fix it. So it takes a little longer, and not as easy as taking a pill and fixing it or patching it up with an elastoplast. That's not what we do.
The good old Band-Aid.
Yeah, that's right. So it only lasts for a few seconds, and then you're back to the doctors again in 3 or 4 weeks, and you want to start again.
Yeah.
So
it's better to fix the cause underneath, so you don't get a reoccurrence of symptom. It may take a little bit longer, but it's a longer lasting treat as well.
That's right, because you are treating perhaps not one system, you might be treating 3 different things. You might have to treat the liver, you might have to treat the lungs, you might have to treat the digestive tract, so it all takes time. But once you've done that, the person has a better chance of that not reoccurring. So,
right, take the rubbish out, don't just keep cramming it in.
That's right.
So you've mentioned asthma and you've mentioned some food allergies.
Yes.
What other things would someone come and see you for if I never knew what a naturopath was?
That's right. Well, look, I've seen people, when I was first in practice, I saw a lot of people that just came in because they were tired. They'd done all the blood tests with their doctors, but they were told that there was nothing wrong with them.
But in the natural medicine side of things, you have a different idea of the ideals for blood testing, is that correct?
So where we differ from a doctor is we look at the range. So for instance, if you've got a range of 5 to 10 on something, if you were out either side with the doctor, he may say everything's fine. But because we're about prevention, we don't want to wait till it becomes pathological. We would rather have you in the middle, which means that even if you went left or right, you're still safe.
Yeah.
And that's where we differ. So people will come back and say, well, the doctor said everything's fine, but I just haven't got energy, I'm tired, and soon we find that there's some little tweaks that we can do with, not just with herbs, but even just supplements like zinc and iron, and they feel better. So,
and you might find that they're just a 9.9 and 10's the tipping point.
That's right. Yeah. And sometimes they're out of the scale, and we just bring them back to as normal as possible to get their body to repair.
Okay, so you mentioned tired. What else is there?
Well, what I see frequently is anxiety and stress. Two very adrenally depleted people. So they've been stressed for such a long time, and they've just coped with the stress. They've adapted. But that's called the alarm stage.
Yeah.
Now, if they don't do anything at that stage, they're going to go into what's called exhaustion. So if you are tired, if you are stressed, you can come and have a really nice tonic to help you with your adrenals. Give your adrenals a rest, because they're the ones that are the glands that pump out the cortisol and the adrenaline. But after a while, it's like the switch stays on, and you can have burnout.
Yeah.
So
you've got other terms for that, like adrenal fatigue.
Adrenal fatigue or adrenal exhaustion, depending on where they're at.
Because there's different stages of adrenal
That's right,
fatigue.
there's 3 stages. So the first stage, you have stress and you can get over it very quickly, and that's not a problem. That's how it should be for most people.
Yep.
That's how the body copes. There are things there in place to come out to help you whilst your stress is high, and then the bar should drop. But with most people, what happens is that they adapt, and the stress levels just keep growing. And what happens is that that's called the alarm stage. But they don't really know, but they then start to feel different. They start to feel tired. They're putting more pressure on the body, and the body isn't quite coping. So other things start to show up in their chemistry.
And then they're burning the candle at both ends.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's something that I do see a lot of, but it's very easy to fix. When I say to fix, I mean it's very easy to treat, provided they do come in and do the work.
Yeah. So talking about treatment,
Yes.
it takes an amount of time with natural therapies. We're not talking about band-aid treatments here.
No, that's right.
So what's the general time frame someone would expect if they're coming into you, stage 2 adrenal fatigue, they're feeling meh all day, doctor's told them they're fine, they come and see you. How long is usually the treatment period before they start to feel an improvement?
Okay. With the way that we treat, that it's not a textbook case, so we never can pull out. There could be 2 people coming in at the same time with similar conditions, but I take a whole case history in the first consult. That will tell me where that person's stress stems from and exactly what I need to do in the treatment plan, or put the protocol together, because with one person it might be slightly different. But having said that, it just depends. Some people will bounce back really quickly. You might say maybe a month or 2. Some people might take longer because there would be other things, adding to that problem.
Some more players.
So that's right. So, but something like psoriasis, for instance, which is a skin condition and autoimmunity, that could take a year.
Yeah.
But at least we're actually trying to clear up all the organs that need the detoxing to help that person to have a better life. Because, with psoriasis, some people are terribly...
looks so sore.
And they have low self-esteem, and so if we can help with that, that would take, sometimes that can take, I've treated somebody over a year, but eventually the psoriasis receded. So
psoriasis is a skin condition.
It's an autoimmune condition. So you understand that the body's own immune system attacks the body.
Yeah.
And because I see a lot of people with skin, because I do specialize in skin, so I see a lot of children with eczema. I do see adults with psoriasis, and then any other skin condition like dermatitis, acne, scars, burns. Because I make up
scarring.
definitely. That's not a problem at all.
Okay, so how do you find that sort of treatment, because we're talking about general time span here, how does that go with modern society? Because people want it to be fixed now. Give me a cream, I want this psoriasis gone.
Absolutely. So what happens is that they've come in prior to being seen a dermatologist perhaps, and they've been given a cortisone cream, and you know what cortisone does, it's a steroid.
Yeah.
It'll fix the wound really quick, but it's not going to take away the actual condition. Autoimmunity means something's actually going on in your body. You know, your immune system is attacking you.
Yeah.
So we need to work on that. And yes, people expect the same thing. Give me a cream and I'll be done. But it's not as easy as that. They've got to take something inside, which is internal, and they've also got to put something on the outside. And the two then work synergistically together.
Yeah.
One repairs and the other one actually starts to, clear up and cleanse and do all the work.
Do you agree that there's a lot of psychological things that go along with skin conditions?
Yes.
Because we're talking again about, well, what goes on the inside eventually gets represented on the outside.
Yes.
So by the time that it's showing on the outside of your body, we're talking about a good few years of internal upset going on.
Yes, that's right. And eczema, there's different types of eczema, but just to tell you that in children I see when they get nervous, when they get stressed, the eczema seems to come out.
Yeah.
And otherwise you never ever see it. And with adults, for years and years, they've never had anything, and then suddenly they've had a traumatic event, and then the eczema's come out. Or something has triggered, or rosacea, which you see quite a few women have rosacea.
Red spotty.
Like a big butterfly rash, So that is all to do with not just stress, but also what the stress does to the gut. So, you have low stomach acid, everything depletes.
Dry mouth.
Yeah. They've also got digestive enzymes are low, zinc is low. So we have to look at a lot of things first to see where they're at.
Great, Kush. And what else do naturopaths do that people might not know about?
Okay, so we do the herbal part, which is the herbal medicine part, the nutrition part. We also do a bit of iridology, which is a science or an art of looking into the eye and looking for certain markers in the eye. And last but not least, we do flower essences. If people have heard of Bach flowers, which they can buy in the chemist.
I've seen the Bach natural, the rescue remedy.
That's it. So quite a few people know about flower essences because of Dr. Bach and because he's, of his rescue remedy. What I do is a totally different flower essence, which I studied outside of my naturopathy, which was holistic counseling, mind-body medicine. I love using that because before I even start on any treatment, I look at that emotional component we were talking about and psychological components. So before I start on weight loss or headaches, I first look at the person and how their thoughts are affecting them.
So flower essences work on an emotional level, is that
They work on the energetics, so they work on your emotions, absolutely, and your thoughts, and so that brings out an energy. So when you're angry, you have a different energy around you. When you're happy, you have a different energy. So it works on those fields. And again, it's a little bit like the vital force. It's not energy you see, but you know when you're angry, how do you feel? The energy feels so different.
You can see, even if you can't see the anger, you can tell when someone's just fuming.
And you can see it even in the way that they hold their body. And when you're tense. So I work on the energetics, and I found when I first started in practice that the living essences is what I use. You can't buy them in the shops because you have to be a practitioner to dose them up, because they don't just work like the Bach flowers, which is 6 for everyone. If you come in with a physical ailment, I can dose up to a physical level, if it is psychological or if it's emotional. And that's the beauty of these essences. So they've been used in the hospitals in Perth.
Oh, really?
They are being used in the hospitals in Perth because the two founders of Living Essences, they were acupuncturists that work with the Aborigines. So some of the orchids that I use are some of the oldest orchids in the world in these essences.
So are these Australian?
They're all Western Australian flowers.
Oh,
but they're not bush flowers, but they're Western Australian flowers. So it's a totally different range to the Australian bush essences.
Yep.
and they're very, very powerful. So if you live here in Australia, then they are more energetically in tune with you rather than use something that perhaps is from an English countryside.
So I was talking to a nutritionist the other day, and he was saying that, you know, we're in Australia, so you should be using things that are energetically from Australia.
Absolutely, I believe that very much.
Yeah. So like the bark flowers are from overseas, so we don't have as much emotional connection.
Yes, yes.
So you mentioned before that you did that as a further education, moreover than your naturopathy degree.
Yes.
Is there anything else like that that naturopaths like specialise in other things? Because I did see a naturopath when I was younger, and she did a lot of body work. So she did the hot stone massage, essential oils for aromatherapy, that sort of thing. Do you do anything like that?
Yes, I do. So when you do naturopathy, you have certain electives you can do. So I chose aromatherapy, which is why I use that in my skincare, and that really helped. But also aromatherapy, just burning different oils, which can help people, you know, with different ailments. But not every naturopath would have done aromatherapy. Somebody might have done reflexology, for instance. Massage is a subject, but not everyone gets the certificate. So it's up to you. If you wanted to work in massage and use it as one of your modalities, like I did, I've got a Cert 4 in Swedish massage. So I can actually use it, and people can use their funds towards it because I'm, you know...
You're registered.
That's right. But most naturopaths will do a bit of massage because it is very stress relieving, and it's a really good component to have.
And you were saying that you did counselling.
So the course that I did was Holistic Counselling Mind-Body Medicine, which involves the flower essences that I use. So when I give you some flower essences for whatever you've come in for, I will also holistically counsel you with that. So there are exercises, visualization techniques, meditation. That's something that I also teach, but just helping people through this other angle. It's not just about giving you a bottle of herbs and sending you home. It's about actually sitting down and looking at the whole person. So, you know, you might have the healthiest body, but you might still have something from your past that's, you know, bugging you now. And so I'll sit with you and go through it and give you some exercises to do. I work with a lot of children that have been bullied at school with these essences because children don't like taking herbs as a rule.
That tastes yuck.
Essences are just lovely. They're in a little bottle, and we call them fairy drops, and they all take them. And, you know, they've been bullied at school, you know, they're not speaking up for themselves. They take these essences, and the next time they're at school, they're off to the headmaster and they're actually speaking their truth. Now, isn't that a great thing?
That's
fantastic. To be able to help them.
Especially in this day and age with a lot of bullying going on.
I do see a lot of children with low self-esteem and bullying, and sometimes they've changed 3 schools. You know, and you just think, give them a little essence in their water bottle at school, and that sort of helps them.
They're super juice.
Yeah, they're super juice.
So you mentioned before that you specialise in skincare, and you have your own skincare range.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. How did you come about it?
That came about when I was a student. I used to work in a health shop in Lilydale, and they didn't have a lot of things on the shelf at that time, but whatever they had, somehow it might have had the first 3 ingredients were lovely, and then the rest was either chemicals or harsh preservatives. So I thought to myself, I've got to make something that I want to use, and my clients kept asking me, well, why don't you make me this or me? So rather than make individual creams for everyone, I decided, why don't I sit down and put some really nice things together? And because we can manufacture herbs and creams, that's our training as a naturopathy.
I just did my herbal medicine manufacturing. Yes.
That's right. So you learn how to put things together. So if you couldn't buy a tincture today, you could actually get some berries and cherries and put them together and make a cough mix. Well, that's what we were original naturopaths would do. But the skincare range came about because I wanted to make something that was food for skin. So it's not big batches, it's never sitting on a shelf for more than a year or 6 months. It's like, we've made it, the active ingredients are there, you put it on your skin, it's food for skin. So my clients started to use them. I got really good feedbacks. The shop in Lilydale, every time I gave him about 12 jars, they would be sold.
Yeah.
So that then gave me the incentive to go and get some labels printed.
Yeah.
And I started from there, and I've never looked back. And then somebody said, make a cleanser, or make a serum. So I've only got a few things, but they all work synergistically together. And the serum especially has helped a lot of people with cesarean scars, with burns, with freckles, with scarring. So, and it's simple, you know, it's not, there's no chemicals and there's no bleaches in that serum.
Oh, fantastic. So that skin range is called Kush?
It's called Rejuve Products, and it's under Kush Health.
Kush Health. So we can find it online actually at your website?
Yes, and it's also in a couple of health stores, but like I said, because we don't want something to sit on a shelf for that long, but the health stores that order from me are small stores which sell things very quickly.
Yeah. Are there any of those stores around Melbourne?
Yes, so there's one in Belgrave which is called Sherbrooke Health Foods if you live up that end. There's another little one in Tacoma, and there's one in Mount Waverley.
Yeah. Do you have the locations on your website?
Yes, I do.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes, but I think the best way would be to order online, because we always have good percentages that we give to clients that order regularly. So,
so and your website is
www.kushhealth.com.au. Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's finish up with the top 3 ailments. I think we've already sort of touched on them.
Yes.
But a brief overview, the top 3 ailments that you treat, and anything else that you'd like the people to know?
Well, I think I see a lot of skin in children and in adults, which is good because I like to formulate with that sort of thing, with eczema and psoriasis. I make up a special cream for you, so it's not on a shelf, depending on how bad it is. Or anxiety and stress, I see a lot of. Lacking in energy, and of course a lot of menopausal women, you know, which seems to be the norm, where if they come in early enough before they hit menopause and they've had a lot of stress and we treat their adrenal glands, 9 out of 10 times they sail through menopause rather than thinking it's a disease or
crazy.
It's not, you know, it's just a change in your life, and that's all it should be.
So you're not actually meant to turn into a crazy lady when
No,
you're going through menopause?
No, that's right, and not. I've heard of people say that they've had hot sweats for 8 years or 3 years. It's not meant to be. It's not meant to be like that.
They're even coming out with terms these days like premenopause and things like that, where some women as young as like late 20s are having menopausal symptoms.
That's right. And the one thing that I didn't mention, which I should have, was with my products, the main thing about my products was I did not want parabens in any of my products, because a paraben molecule resembles an estrogen molecule.
Right.
It is so similar. And what's happening with people that are using products which are full of parabens, the paraben goes and blocks the receptor.
Yeah. So
and
then
that's
the real
why
estrogen can't get in.
the real estrogen can't get in, and that's been quite a problem.
So that can cause things like
Well, you can see
sex cancers and
also there's a lot on the up and up with endometriosis, PCOS with younger females.
So it's polycystic.
Polycystic ovarian syndrome and endometriosis, and people are using things that perhaps they should really be reading their labels before they use.
Good tip. So there you go. Have clean Kush Health skincare products. Make sure you don't get any estrogen issues. So thank you very much for joining us, Kush. Really appreciate that.
No, thank you very much.
And if you have any questions, guys, just write down in the comments below, and Kush will be answering them. I'll forward them on to her in as due time as she can.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.